Today we'll be covering the value resorts at Walt Disney World to help you decide if these are right for you and your travel party. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, November 3rd, and you're listening to episode 60, Guide to Walt Disney World's Value Resorts. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. It was another big news week this week, so here we go. Lightning Lane Premier Pass officially launched in Walt Disney World last Wednesday on October 30th. Reminder that this is the new Lightning Lane option that allows you to skip the standby queue at each attraction on Lightning Lane in a park once. This includes the Lightning Lane single passes in that park. You don't have to book return times. You are free to visit the attractions at your leisure. The service, as of right now, is only available to guests staying in deluxe Disney accommodations. The cost is steep, okay? So ranging from $129 to $400 per person per day. Initial reactions from folks using the service is that in practice, it's very similar to scanning in for any other old Lightning Lane. The biggest difference being you don't have to wait for your return window. Is that worth the exorbitant price tag? Well, only you can make that determination. You know our opinion on it, but it's some people, it will work for them. So don't discount it, right? If it's something that you think could work for you and your family, then by all means, have at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
November 1st was Friday, and the Christmas decorations are out in force at the parks. The vast majority of the Halloween decorations were taken down overnight, and Christmas decorations have gone up, and more will continue to go up over the coming days. The first Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and Jollywood Nights parties are just days away at this point, so the decorations will be complete soon, except for certain resorts and other ancillary areas, which will continue to be decorated as we get deeper into November. And on that note, the massive gingerbread display at the Grand Floridian is being constructed along with others across property as we speak. It is their 25th anniversary this year at the Grand Flo specifically, something they've been doing since 1999, and there are nods to that have already been spotted. They are just about finished, and it should officially open to the public, like to actually go visit and buy snacks from the location on November 6th. As always, we're excited to see the final product. You'll also see gingerbread displays being constructed at the Contemporary, the Yacht and Beach Club, Animal Kingdom Lodge, the Boardwalk Inn in the coming days and weeks. Epcot shared some holiday news as well. There will be a new gingerbread spaceship Earth on display at Communicore Hall that will open to guests when the Festival of the Holidays kicks off on November 29th. 2 new food booths are coming to the festival as well. Experimental prototype cookies of tomorrow. I like that.
That's fun.
And favorites of festivals past. A nod to Christmas Carol, like the Ghosts of Christmas Past.
Yes, that makes sense.
And there will be a new free snowflake decorating activity outside of Communicore Hall available during the festival as well. It's nice to see some fresh offerings for this year at the festival.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a major expansion coming to Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resort. So they will invest $275 million in the coming years, which will expand the resort's convention space by more than 120,000 square feet. This will include a renovation of all the rooms at the Swan Resort. A new 2-story annex will connect the existing meeting space and include a new multi-purpose space and ballroom. Renovations have already begun in the existing ballroom and breakout rooms. The new space will be refreshed with blue, gray, white, and natural wood accents. Room renovations at the Swan are also underway and are set to be completed this year, which is a really quick turnaround. The new building should have construction start this month and open to the public in 2026. Concept art was released, and the lobby of the new space actually looks like really great. It's bright, airy, and wide open with a beautiful chandelier art piece kind of central to the space that is suspended from the ceiling. The refreshed guest rooms will feature natural wood colors with a neutral color palette of white and gray. This is all good news for the resort. It was getting a little tired over there. Like, it's going to breathe new life into that space, which is great.
Yeah, it needed a refresh.
Yeah, 100%. As expected, and we kind of alluded to this last week, Disney Parks blog dropped their Walt Disney World Resort Holidays foodie guide this week, which features the seasonal treats that will be available across Disney Springs, the resorts, Animal Kingdom Park, and Hollywood Studios this holiday season. This foodie guide is extensive, so be sure to check that out if you're heading to Walt Disney World soon. It highlights all of the fun seasonal treats that will be available. Again, that's right on the Disney Parks blog website. Blizzard Beach is reopening on November 4th, which means that by the time this episode airs, it will be open. Typhoon Lagoon will now close for the next few months. The water parks have been alternating their openings like that since the pandemic. And reminder that as of January 1st, 2025, guests staying at a Disney resort will have water park access on their check-in day, like without having to pay extra for that. You'll be able to go to whatever water park is open at that time on your check-in day. This is something to take advantage of if you arrive early enough in the day. Like if you're checking in, like, like 6, 7 p.m., not
worth it.
Yeah,
Nope.
not definitely.
You'd probably be closed by
exactly,
then.
right? But if you're checking in, like mid-morning, you drop off your bags and you can go and enjoy the water park.
Totally.
And lastly, certainly not least though, Universal revealed more details on the animatronics that's going to be at the Monsters Unchained attraction in the Dark Universe land at Epic Universe. Universal said these are the most technologically advanced animatronics they've ever done and shared a look at a few of them, like Frankenstein, Wolfman, and Dracula. They're going to have a total of 14 in this attraction when it opens on May 22nd, 2025. And like, we looked like really closely at these and it looks like real people.
Like actors completely dressed up in costumes.
100%.
So
The Dracula one, like we looked at the details and it was like, it's like, that's a person. It has
insane.
To be. Yeah. Really, really well done.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to walk into Epic Universe. It's going to be amazing.
I know. Like I literally can't wait to see what they've done with the lands and like physically walk through the space, especially the Ministry of Magic.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. So what's new with us? Halloween was earlier this week, and that was an absolute success. The weather held up, which we were definitely very thankful for. It hasn't always been that way in previous years where we live, but the kids got away with just wearing sweaters underneath their costumes. They got a really good haul, and they were pretty happy with that. I, unfortunately, was sick as a dog all Halloween, had to skip work, everything. Still sick. You can hear it in my voice.
A little stuffy.
Yeah, we didn't get as many kids as we were expecting for trick-or-treaters this year. So I actually ended up taking the leftover candy to work for my coworkers because I went to work the next day, even though I was probably still too sick to go.
Yeah, spreading it around. That's good.
Yeah, I like to share. Otherwise, Oliver and I would have been munching on those candies for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, 100%.
We can't resist chocolate. We haven't taken down our Halloween decorations, but we will be doing that next weekend. Halloween decorations are going down. Christmas decorations are going up. We're not as diligent as Disney. Christmas hasn't hit our house just yet, but it won't be long now. I've seen a lot of videos on TikToks of content creators already putting their trees up. Everybody, I think that's a North American thing to do it early because I know my family in Wales would just laugh at us for putting our stuff up this early.
Yeah, you know what? It's all good.
Yeah.
Like we've said before, right? We're huge Disney people, obviously, but Christmas is by far our favorite holiday. And we're also huge Christmas people. Like literally one of my favorite things to do in the entire world is to set the coffee the night before, come downstairs early when the house is still quiet, pour myself a cup of coffee and sit by our Christmas tree with like only the tree lights on. Mm-hmm. It's such a great way to start the day and it makes me happy like all November and December long and into like the first like week of January.
And actually
until we take it down.
Yeah, and where Oliver works, he gets to go to work with Christmas lights everywhere and Christmas music playing.
That's right. We've kind of talked about this before, right? So I work at Depot, which is the National Training Academy for RCMP.
Yeah.
And they have like loudspeakers on top of the buildings that plays Christmas music starting December 1st. And they decorate like the trees and stuff. So it's quite
a very
magical.
Peaceful way to enter your work
100%.
day.
Yeah, it's quite positive. I love it there. With that said, let's get into today's main topic. Today we'll be highlighting Walt Disney World's value resorts. So Disney classifies their resorts by tiers, which are value, moderate, and deluxe. There's a subcategory of deluxe, which are deluxe villas. These range from studio rooms, which are similar to like a standard guest room that you'd find in any other Disney resort, all the way to 3-bedroom villas, which are like outrageously expensive if you're not booking on points. And even if you are booking on points, they're super point heavy.
Yeah.
These are the Disney Vacation Club properties, right? And Disney Vacation Club members use their annual point allotment to book rooms at the various DVC resorts across Disney property. Although DVC members get priority, regular park guests can also book these room categories pending availability. Deluxe and deluxe villas are exactly what they sound like. They're the highest tier and most expensive. Moderates are the mid tiers and are less expensive than deluxe resorts.
Value resorts are exactly what they sound like, and they are the least expensive. Now, it's important to note that this is Disney level value, okay? Meaning that they are the least expensive Disney proper resorts, but they are not the least expensive resorts found on Disney property. Mm-hmm. Certain Good Neighbor hotels are definitely cheaper, but these hotels are not owned and operated by Disney. However, they do have a relationship with Disney and offer some, but definitely not all of the same perks. These also have a wide range of luxury levels and price points. So today, though, we are going to stick with the Disney proper value resorts. So again, these are Disney level value, and while you can find some really good deals at these resorts, especially during like the less busy times of the year, they are still not cheap.
Agreed. Yep.
Rooms at All Star and Pop Century will dip into under about $200 a night, which is actually really good for Disney level pricing, but still not cheap. But on the high end during busy times, these standard rooms can actually climb to over $400 a night, and then family suites can get to around $1,000 a night. Yes, you heard that right. value rooms approaching $1,000 a night. So let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. So the resorts are deemed to be quote unquote value resorts by Disney, but that doesn't mean you should not like consider them for your stay, right? They're still great resorts. They qualify for the same perks for the most part as any other Disney resort, except for extended evening hours, right? Which is reserved for Disney Deluxe resort guests. You will have complimentary transportation to and from each park and to Disney Springs. You'll have access to the 30 minutes of early entry at the theme parks, right? Each park every day of the week. You'll be able to book dining at 60 days ahead of your stay for every day of your stay for up to 10 days. You'll be able to book your Lightning Lane multi-pass and single passes 7 days ahead of your park stay for up to 14 days. Reminder that Premier Pass is only available to guests staying in deluxe resorts, right? As of this recording anyway. So long story short, even though it's Disney's lowest tiers of resorts, it still includes all of the same perks as staying in the, moderate resorts and nearly all the same perks as staying in a deluxe resort. Plus, it also has the benefit of having those intangible perks as well, right? Like some of the things that we've talked about before, like staying inside the Disney bubble is special. We personally love the feeling of checking into our Disney resort, right? Just tuning out the outside world during our vacation. We don't worry about driving, cooking, getting around, like nothing, nada. We fully immersed ourselves in the bubble, and that's a huge perk for us, right? Plus, the customer service for the most part, it's like unparalleled, right?
So true.
We love interacting with the cast members at the resorts. By and large, it's always been like an overwhelmingly positive experience.
Absolutely. There are 3 value resorts at Walt Disney World. These are Art of Animation, Pop Century, and All-Star Movies, All-Star Music, and All-Star Sports, which are technically 3 resorts, but really it's just one big resort, and that's how we're going to treat it today. So without further ado, let's kick off with Disney's Art of Animation Resort. Just like the name implies, the theming of this resort surrounds Disney's animation and brings a fun and vibrant resort to the Disney lineup. Fun fact, Art of Animation was originally supposed to be the second half of Pop Century Resort, but be named the Legendary Years, representing the 1900s to the 1940s. Construction actually started and everything, but when it was being built, the project was temporarily halted. So when it was picked back up, it was renamed Art of Animation and then completely rethemed, which is a much better outcome in our opinion. It officially opened its doors to guests back in 2012, so it's not that old.
No, 100%. Yeah. It's like, 12 years old at this point?
That's about it, yeah.
And the Skyliner opened in 2019.
Which added a whole new level to these.
Exactly, to put it on the map. So the resort, as it is today, right, as Art of Animation, features bright colors throughout the lobby. The buildings are heavily themed and brightly colored as well, with, larger-than-life Disney characters spread throughout. We actually love the lobby of this resort. The back wall of the front counter is, like, illuminated with bright colors that kind of, like, rainbow, like from, the different colors.
That's exactly it, yep.
It's hard to put into words, but it's really nice, and it sets the tone right away when you enter the space. The resort itself is split into 4 distinct areas, with the buildings and amenities in those areas themed to different movies. So you have Lion King, Cars, Finding Nemo, and The Little Mermaid. The Lion King area has like green accents with trees painted on the outside of the buildings with that kind of color palette throughout. They have large sculptures of characters like Simba, Rafiki, Scar, Timon, and Pumbaa, among others from the movie, including and like complete with like the elephant graveyard, which...
Very cool.
Yeah, 100%. Like unreal.
You feel the theme there.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely, you do. The Cars area is themed to Radiator Springs, of course, and the buildings here are multicolored to look like the sky and the landscape from the movie. The walkways even look like streets and roads, which is pretty cool. The color palette is like that orange, brownish kind of thing inside the building, and there are large statues of characters like Lightning McQueen, Sally, Mater, among others, spread throughout the space. You're also going to find the Cozy Cone pool in this area. The pool space has large traffic cones, like massive, that actually house cabanas on the inside.
Very cool,
yeah, it's pretty cool. And over in the Little Mermaid area, the color palette is blue and purple, kind of like, to simulate being under the sea. And the railings have bubbles and blue and purple lines that simulate like water and coral and whatnot. In the space, there's a sculpture of Ariel, King Triton, Ursula, Sebastian, among many, many others. And here you're going to find the Flippin' Fins pool, which is perfectly themed to this area of the resort, of course. And lastly, you have the Finding Nemo area of the resort. The color palette is similar to what you're going to see in the Little Mermaid area, with like blue and pink tones to simulate kind of like the sea and the bright coral elements. Like picture the opening scene of the movie, right? Not where...
Not the sad scene,
but
sad
afterwards.
Part.
Yeah, the Disney
That's the thing.
killing
Finding
parents
Nemo
thing.
to me was one of the first Disney movies that the colors just popped. It was insane. I remember watching that and being like, wow. Yeah,
exactly. And it is a Pixar film, right? But
it is.
I think at that point it had already been acquired by Disney.
Yes.
Anyways, that was a little aside. And there's a splash pad and jungle gym and the largest pool on Disney property here, the Big Blue Pool. And it's huge, right?
It is huge.
There are large sculptures of Nemo, Dory, Crush, Bruce, among many, many others.
One thing I will say about the pools here is there's no water slides at these pools, right?
Correct.
So
That's
that
right.
is one thing. If your kids are like big water slide junkies, just have that prepared already if you are staring there.
And that's true of all the value
Yeah.
resorts. They do have a bunch of pools, but none of them have slides.
Yeah. So in terms of cost, Art of Animation is the most expensive of the value resorts, and prices can actually fluctuate quite a bit depending on when you go and where you choose to stay inside the resort. The standard rooms at this resort are all located in the Little Mermaid area of the resort, which also happens to be the furthest away from the lobby, which houses the quick service restaurant and the merchandise location, which we're going to get to in about a minute here. So the standard rooms have 2 queen beds or a king bed. The standard rooms for Little Mermaid area can be as low as $210 a night during the least busiest time of years, and then more often than not, you're definitely going to find this to be in the $270 to $300 per night range.
Yeah, exactly.
And during the busiest times of years, they can actually reach up to $400 a night, which is pretty steep considering it is a value resort.
Yep.
The Little Mermaid rooms have blue and purple hues and artwork and murals of the characters from the film. So if you love Little Mermaid or have someone in your party that does, they're definitely going to love these rooms.
Yeah,
it's heavily
100%.
themed to that movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the value resorts is that they are more themed, typically speaking, right?
Mhm.
Like especially on the outside than any other Disney resort.
Absolutely.
Like think like Coronado Springs, Port Orleans,
Yep.
Wilderness Lodge. They're all beautiful resorts,
Mhm.
but they just don't have that like
Disney.
overt Disney theme.
Animation. They don't have the animation
Exactly.
that you might be looking for.
Yeah, that's right. So the family suites are housed in the Finding Nemo, Cars, and Lion King areas of the resort. These rooms are much, much larger and feature a separate bedroom with a queen bed and a large living area with a queen pull-down Murphy bed that doubles as a table. Like these are the newer Murphy beds and are actually quite comfortable, so don't let that deter you. It's not like a sofa bed. It's like a full-blown, nice queen mattress.
With a good mattress.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really good.
Yeah. But they also have a double sofa bed, and that is a sofa bed, right? So not as comfortable as the other one. And they feature as well a kitchenette and 2 bathrooms, which if you're traveling with a family, it's a huge plus and definitely nice to have 2 bathrooms, when everyone's trying to get ready in the morning or trying to get cleaned up after a long day in the parks.
We had 2 bathrooms at the Polynesian.
Yeah.
And Sophia would have her bath in one and Kedab was having a shower in the other. And I was like, this is the way to go.
Yeah, this is perfect. It's the way to travel.
We can't do that every single time,
No.
but it was really nice for our first time with them.
Yeah, agreed 100%. The suites can be as low as $520 to $580 per night, and this might strike you as expensive, and of course it is, right? But it's by far like the most affordable suites on Disney property. When it comes to like Disney proper hotels, it's not even close. Usually they're going to be even more expensive though, in the $600 to $700 per night range on average, and reach over $900 a night, getting close to $1,000 a night during the busiest times of year. Yikes. Okay, so it's definitely expensive, and we personally wouldn't do it at that price. But like we said, it is the cheapest suites on Disney property. So, if you're planning on staying in a suite regardless, that's kind of what you're looking at. Suites at the deluxe resorts during busy times will be much, much more than that. So just be mindful of that. Like if you're staying in a suite at like something like the Poly, the Wilderness Lodge, Grand Flow, whatever it is, you're going to be like well over $1,000.
Yes.
Yep. The suites here are heavily themed to the area they're in. So Lion King has Lion King touches, green paint, murals of the characters, giraffes, Zazu, among many others. In the Nemo suites, you're going to have colorful coral themed colors, blue colors, to simulate like the sea and characters from the movie. In the Cars suites, the rooms are themed to Radiator Springs with brown and orange hues and characters from the Cars franchise. These rooms are all heavily themed like we alluded to earlier, right? Which can put off some people, but your kids are absolutely going to love it.
Absolutely. All right, next up, let's talk transportation to and from the parks and Disney Springs. So Art of Animation has the huge benefit of being located on the Skyliner route, and there's a Skyliner station right at the resort. This puts it on par with resorts like Caribbean Beach Resort and Riviera when it comes to transportation options. The Skyliner station here is located at the Generation Gap Bridge over Hourglass Lake. Art of Animation shares its Skyliner station with Disney's Pop Century Resort across the lake, which we'll get to in a bit, and that's also a value resort.
Yep.
The Skyliner will take you to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, as well as the other Skyliner resorts. So not only Caribbean Beach and Riviera, but also the Boardwalk area resorts, and Skyliner to Epcot drops you off at the International Gateway entrance.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you get off at the International Gateway entrance, you're outside of
the park.
Obviously, and you're like 2 minutes.
Just a bridge over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're 2 minutes from Yacht and Beach Club, and then across the water is Boardwalk Inn, and then beyond that is Swan and Dolphin and Swan Reserve. It's like you can access all of that from the Skyliner.
Absolutely. So if you haven't taken the Skyliner before, it's essentially a gondola system, not unlike what you see at a ski resort.
Exactly. Yep.
The gondolas themselves are either painted in bright colors or themed to Disney characters. We personally love the Skyliner. It's a great way to get around. Our kids think of it as a ride in itself,
100%.
and they could ride
and
that.
It is. Yep.
It is. Actually, it's really relaxing.
Yep.
You get good views of things. We actually really, really heavily love the Skyliner. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, we enjoy to take it just to get around.
Absolutely. So for Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, as well as Disney Springs, you're going to take the Disney buses from Art of Animation, which some people really hate. But like we've said this before, and we're going to say it again, we don't mind the buses whatsoever. We've never had issues taking these buses, and we find them super convenient. There's only one bus stop at this resort, which is near the main lobby at the Animation Hall. There's two ways to look at this. It's good because you don't have to worry about that internal bus loop like some of the other really big resorts on property, such as Coronado Springs, that has 4. And then on the other hand, it is a large resort. So everyone is kind of flocking to the same bus station. So there's that. There's a little bit of a ugh there. But that's splitting hairs in our opinion. At the end of the day, it still gets you to where you need to go.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, let's talk dining. So one of the biggest pitfalls, in our opinion, right, of staying at a value resort is the dining or lack thereof, right? So you only have one restaurant here, and it's a quick service kind of cafeteria style restaurant named Landscape of Flavors. It's your typical walk-up counter style Disney restaurant, right? And they also have grab and go options here as well. Think like sandwiches, muffins,
salads,
pastries.
maybe,
yeah, exactly. And that's not make or break, right? They all have your standard theme park style options that should appeal to most, with a couple of more unique options sprinkled in. There's also the drop-off pool bar at the Big Blue Pool that has like cocktails, specialty drinks, and light bites. But something to keep in mind is that just one tier above that at the moderate resorts, you're going to have way more dining options, including at least one table service restaurant. That's the trade-off you make when you're booking a value resort versus, the other tiers on Disney property. Like, for example, Coronado Springs Resort, you have Three Bridges, you have Maya Grill, you have Toledo, you have a bunch of lounges. Like it's a moderate resort, but it has like way, way more dining options.
Plus, they do have their standard quick service cafeteria.
They do
style
El Mercado
for your family,
and it has Dole Whip there.
Yeah,
if you're ever there, stop for Dole Whip.
Absolutely.
Some of the other amenities and activities you're going to find at Art of Animation is a large merchandise location named Ink and Paint Shop, where you're going to find your usual Disney merch as well as resort-specific items as well, like magnets and t-shirts, spirit jerseys, that kind of thing. There are activities like Movies Under the Stars every evening and paid activities like paint classes, among other options. There's also the Pixel Play Arcade with a bunch of games and activities, and there's a lovely walking path around Hourglass Lake if you're in the mood for an early morning or, a nice evening stroll or a full-on run. If you're the kind of person who runs on vacation, right? No judgment, I get it. Art of Animation really is a great resort, right? It screams Disney, like we said, right? And that can be exactly what you're looking for. Friends of ours have an upcoming stay here based on our recommendation, and they're really looking forward to it. We took our kids walking around this resort last May, like just around the lobby and stuff and the pool area and whatnot. And they were like, we want to stay here. And they didn't want to go back to Wilderness Lodge, right? So make of that what you will. You don't need to book the most expensive resort to give your kids an awesome vacation. Like your kids will love this resort for sure.
Oh, absolutely. All right, next up, let's head across Hourglass Lake to Disney's Pop Century Resort. Pop Century is themed to the decades between the 1950s and the 1990s. Just like Art of Animation, it's got some larger-than-life theming and massive sculptures and statues all over the resort. The theme is specific to each decade, and when we say big, we mean big and colorful to boot. The 1950s are themed to dancing, so there are large dancer statues, Lady and the Tramp statues, colorful flowers, a massive jukebox, giant bowling pins, including a bowling pin-shaped pool. So then at the 1960s, there's this tie-dye theming, a massive Play-Doh container, large animal sculptures, as well as a Baloo and a Mowgli from the Jungle Book. And then this area is where you're going to find the Hippie Dippy Pool. At the 1970s, you'll find a big wheel tricycle, like massive in size.
Yep.
And then you'll find a huge Mickey Mouse telephone, big foosball players, and massive 8-track tapes. At the 1980s, you'll find a massive Pac-Man statue, as well as a Rubik's Cube, a Walkman, and Roger Rabbit. And then finally, the 1990s, you'll find a massive laptop, huge floppy disks, a colossal cell phone, and a computer pool. It's pretty cool.
They went techie to the 90s
did.
there. In terms of prices for the rooms here, you're going to find they're a little less expensive than what you're going to find over at Art of Animation. The rooms have been refurbished recently, like in recent years, so they're actually pretty nice. If you're not planning on spending much time at the resort because you're a rope drop to fireworks type of person, amen. That's us too.
That's us, yep.
And you want the low cost of a value resort as well as the convenience of the Skyliner. This might be, the perfect option for you. At low times, a standard room can be in the like 180 per night range, which is awesome. And during the busiest times of the year, can creep up to that 330 to 390 per night range.
Mm-hmm.
But more often than not, during moderately busy times, you'll usually find these rooms right around the $200 to $250 per night range. The standard rooms here come with a queen or king bed plus one pull-down table bed, which is a Murphy bed. Again, these are the newer pull-down beds and they're good quality and quite comfortable. The pull-down bed also doubles as a table when you don't need the bed, which is actually awesome.
Mm-hmm.
These can be good, if you have a small group or if you aren't going to be spending much time in the room, like we said. But be mindful that with four people, it can start to feel pretty cramped, right? Especially with like 4 adults or like older kids. One good thing, though, is that the washroom, even though there's only one, the bathroom and the sink are split. So you could have someone getting ready, like doing their hair, brushing their teeth or whatever, while somebody else is in the shower. So that's a plus for sure. The rooms, like we said, received a recent upgrade in the last few years, and they actually look really nice inside, in our opinion. They're nowhere near as themed as Art of Animation. They actually have like a much sleeker design. They have a modern feel with pops of color and some Disney touches like Mickey frames on the wall to keep it fun.
Yeah, and the resort itself is pretty spread out, and there are 10 buildings in all across the decades. Buildings 1, 3, and 4, as well as 5, 6, and 10, are the closest to Classic Hall, which is the name of the lobby of this resort. This is where you're going to find the quick service location and the merchandise location. Buildings 4 and 5 are also right next to the Skyliner station, which is obviously a huge plus to get to and from the Skyliner station in the morning and then get back to your room in the evening. Buildings 7 through 9 are pretty much the furthest from everything, but that can also be a good thing because they can definitely be quieter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in terms of transportation, it's the exact same situation as Art of Animation. Like we said earlier, it shares the Skyliner station with Art of Animation. So it gives you the Skyliner access to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, as well as access to the other Skyliner resorts. And then it's going to be buses to Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and Disney Springs. Also, just like Art of Animation, it only has one bus station at the front of the resort. So again, pros and cons. Pros, there's no internal bus loop. Con, that means everybody from the resort is going to be taking the bus from that station, so it can definitely get quite crowded. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, that's our opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And given that this is a value resort, just like Art of Animation again, the entire resort only has one dining option, and that's Everything Pop Shopping and Dining, which is in Classic Hall. Everything Pop is your standard counter service location and serves up everything you'd expect with a couple of more unique offerings, but nothing groundbreaking, right? They also have a grab-and-go option here as well for grabbing pastries or whatnot to take to go in the morning or whatever you want, really. The tie-dye cheesecake is one treat that is unique to this resort, so you can grab that if you're looking for a unique treat that you can't find anywhere else. You also have the Petals pool bar at the Hippy Dippy pool, and you're going to find, cocktails, drinks, and light bites there. In terms of amenities and activities, like we said, there's 3 pools. So there's the Hippy Dippy pool at the 1960s, the bowling pool at the 1950s, and the computer pool at the 1990s. There's also a splash pad, a playground, the fast forward arcade, and the same walking path around Hourglass Lake, right? You can access that from this side as well, if you're so inclined, right? There's also paid activities like making your own tie-dye shirt, among other options. You can inquire with front counter or check the activities board in the lobby for what's available during your stay. All of the resorts do this. They have like a board essentially that shows what they're doing, what time the movie Under the Stars is and that kind of thing. We like Pop Century. The modern rooms are like super nice. They're clean. They're right on the Skyliner. And it's a really great option if you're doing a solo trip or an adult only trip and won't be spending much time in the room. And you want quick access to the Skyliner. The Skyliner puts these resorts on the map, in our opinion. The Skyliner, like we said, opened in 2019 and it added so much value to Art of Animation Pop Century. Like it's a game changer.
Absolutely. I agree. Alrighty, lastly, we're heading on over to All-Star Music, All-Star Movies, and All-Star Sports. So like we alluded to earlier, these are actually 3 separate resorts, but we're going to lump them all together because they're very, very similar and they're physically located all right next to each other. These resorts, like Pop Century and Art of Animation, are heavily themed, much more than most of the other resorts on property. They are bright and colorful and really lean into their individual themes. At All-Star Movies, you can definitely expect to find characters from classic Disney animation films. It's not as well done as Art of Animation in our opinion, but it is well done nonetheless. There are nods to movies you know and love like The Little Mermaid, 101 Dalmatian, and Toy Story. But there's also characters and statues from less popular films like Fantasia, The Love Bug, and The Mighty Ducks.
Your childhood crush, Joshua Jackson.
Joshua Jackson, still my adult crush. He's aged well. All-Star Music is themed to different types of music at each of the resort's buildings, such as country, jazz, rock and roll, calypso, and Broadway. You're going to find large statues of xylophones, bongos, and maracas at Calypso, saxophones and drum sets at Jazz, electric guitars and a jukebox at Rock and Roll, massive cowboy boots at Country, and at Broadway you'll find a large star and marquee representing classic Disney shows such as The Lion King and Mary Poppins, among others. All-Star Sports is themed to, well, sports, as you may have guessed. The buildings are themed to different sports. I feel like I'm saying sports a lot. I really am saying sports a lot. Yeah. You're going to find football in the touchdown building, tennis in the center court building, baseball in the home run hotel, surfing at the Surf's Up spot, and basketball in the hoops building. You'll find massive football helmets and a makeshift football field, huge tennis rackets, huge surfboards. You get the gist. There's massive everything themed to the sport of each building.
Yeah, exactly.
It's heavily themed.
Yeah, 100%. All right, now let's talk pricing. So the All-Star Resorts are actually the most affordable out of all of the Walt Disney World hotels. Like, it's the cheapest, right? So during low season, you're going to find standard rooms for as low as the $130 per night range, which is awesome. During the busiest times, they can get up to around $260 plus per night, but they usually hover around the $170 to $210 range. In that range, yeah. All-Star also has suites that range from $330 per night during quiet times and over $600 per night during busy times. But usually they're found around that $400 to $500 per night range for most of the year. These are by far the most affordable suites out of all the Disney resorts. It's not even close.
Yeah.
The All-Stars were refurbished in recent years, just like Pop Century, and the rooms are actually like more similar to Pop Century than Art of Animation or any other resort for that matter. They feature a queen bed and a second pull-down queen bed that doubles as a table, just like the other newly refurbished rooms across Disney property, like those nice beds. These are good quality mattresses, you guys. Like, don't let those deter you. We have stayed in rooms with them. Our son Caleb has slept on them, and he sleeps like a baby. Like, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're really good. Like, kids, they do better on the Murphy beds and the pull-out couches because they don't really care as much about a soft mattress. So those are perfect for your kids.
Yep. The suites at this resort are all located at All-Star Music and are located in the Calypso and Jazz buildings. They can sleep out to 6 guests and feature a separate bedroom, a living room, a kitchenette, and 2 full bathrooms, which again is amazing for a larger family. It can literally be a godsend at an affordable, right, quote unquote, affordable price. And I'm putting that in brackets, as you guys know, because that's Disney affordable, right?
I truly think that if we ever go with my whole family, we'll be doing that. Just splitting the cost,
absolutely,
right? Because then we're all together, but we got the space.
No, 100%. Yeah. Like, we could stay in a suite with like your parents, for example, and then your sister and them could stay in a standard room or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
And then we have the space for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And the other 2 beds that aren't in the bedroom are both pull down beds, no sofa beds, which again is super nice because they're much better quality. The bathrooms also separate the sink from the shower, which is great for getting ready.
And then just like at Pop Century, the theming on the exterior of the building doesn't match the interior of the rooms at all. The theming in the rooms here is much more minimalist and sleek, very much similar to the Pop Century rooms. There are some pops of color with frames of Mickey on the wall and similar artwork that add a pop of color. One thing we forgot to mention that's true at these rooms and then at all the rooms at the newer refurbished resorts that we talked about today, including Pop Century and Art of Animation, is that there are no more carpet in these rooms. It's all kind of gone to that vinyl fake wood style flooring. Some people love it. Some people prefer carpet. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's not carpet anymore. I love carpet in bedrooms, not at hotels. So I'm actually okay with getting rid of that. Because,
agreed. Yeah, exactly.
At All-Star Sports, the Surf's Up building will be the closest building to the stadium hall, which is the lobby. It also houses the end zone food court, the bus stop, and the main pool. At All-Star Music, the Calypso building will be the closest to the lobby, the intermission food court, and the main pool. The country rooms will be the furthest from all the action, which can be a good thing if you're looking for a quieter environment. And then at All-Star Movies, the Fantasia section is the closest to the lobby and the world premiere food court. The Mighty Ducks and Love Bug areas will be the furthest from the main amenities.
Yeah, exactly. And for transportation, these resorts' only mode of transportation is buses, right? So these are not anywhere near the Skyliner. So it's going to put some people off, but don't despair. I know we've said this a lot, but for the most part, right, the Disney buses are great. We've never had any major issues taking the bus. They're old, reliable at Disney, right? They'll get you to where you need to go. But if transportation is super important to you, right, and you prefer just to take the bus as little as possible, that's something to consider if you're planning on staying here.
Agreed.
Just like the other value resorts at each of the 3 All-Stars, they all have their own bus station, and that's at the front of each of their individual lobbies. Again, pros and cons, right? Good that there's only one stop, but there's only one stop, right? So everyone has got to go to it. One thing to note is while each resort does have its own buses, During the off-peak times during the day, right? So think like mid-morning, mid-afternoon, not around park opening or park close, the resorts will share buses. So something to be mindful of there. One thing to keep in mind too is that the resort can hold a lot of guests at a generally much lower price point, right? Which is appealing to big school events. So think, sports, bands, choir, cheer competitions, and that kind of thing. So that could mean many excited kids, tweens, teens during your trip.
And angry parents who are just wanting to control their children.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. Next up, let's talk food. So again, just like the other value resorts, you're only going to find one counter service at each resort, and that will be your quick grab-and-go options as well as a pool bar. The All-Star Movies has the world premiere food cart, and the silver screen is the pool bar. Intermission Food Court and Singing Spirits Pool Bar at the All-Star Music, and End Zone Food Court and Grandstand Spirits Pool Bar at All-Star Sports. In terms of activities and other recreation, each resort has multiple pools. At All-Star Sports, you're going to find the Surfboard Bay Pool, and then there's also a kiddie pool behind Stadium Hall adjacent to the Surfboard Bay Pool. You're also going to have the Grand Slam Pool, shaped like a baseball diamond. And then at All-Star Movies, there's the Fantasia Pool, which features a Sorcerer Mickey fountain, and it also has a similar kiddie pool and splash area for the younger guests. There's also a Duck Pond Pool, which is looking like a hockey rink and is themed to the Mighty Ducks. All-Star Music has the Calypso Pool, which is shaped like a guitar, and features the Fountain of the Three Caballeros, which is Donald, Jose Carioca, and Panchito. Again, there's a kiddie pool here as well for the littles. There's also the Piano Pool-shaped pool, that's shaped like a piano with large black and white keys.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the other resorts, there's movies under the stars at each resort. There's an arcade and playground as well for the littles to burn off some energy. And then at each resort, there's also paid activities as well, like making your own vinyl record at All-Star Music and making your own Walk of Fame star at All-Star Movies, among other offerings. And of course, each lobby has their own merchandise location. There's the sporty, goofy gifts and sundries at the All-Star Sports, Maestro's Mickey's at All-Star Music, and then Donald's double feature at All-Star Movies.
Yeah, exactly. So again, you guys, this can be a really great option if you're looking to save a bit of money, but you still want to stay inside the Disney bubble. It has the same perks as any other Disney resort, and while transportation options aren't great, right? They're not as great as Pop Century and Art of Animation anyway. You do save money to compensate for that. If you don't plan on spending much time at the resort at all, but you still want the benefit of staying on property, this is like a good go-to option.
Absolutely.
Here are some other considerations that could impact your decision, not just for the All-Stars, but any of these value resorts, right? Because these are value resorts, they do lack in certain areas that could be key to you depending on what you're looking for out of your resort stay. Some good things are that while they only have food courts, these do open early and close late. So yeah, it means usually opening at 6:30 a.m. and closing not till 11 p.m., which is great, right? If you want to grab a coffee like very first thing in the morning.
Which we love to do. So
exactly.
That's appealing to us for sure.
And like on our Animal Kingdom day, we're heading to the buses before 7 a.m. when most other things open. So if they usually have coffee as a like grab and go, kind of just pour your cup and go.
That's a plus.
Right at 6:30, which is 100% a plus. It's awesome. And failing that, there are Keurig machines with coffee pods in each room, so you can make a coffee in the morning before you go, or a decaf at the end of the day, whatever you're into. There are pools at these resorts, and like we said, they qualify for all of the perks except the ones reserved for Disney Deluxe Hotel guests. Plus, while some people gripe about transportation options, right, 2 out of 3 of these resorts are on the Skyliner route, so that literally means they have the same transportation options as resorts like Caribbean Beach and Riviera, which is awesome for Art of Animation and Pop Century.
Absolutely.
On the downside, like we said before, right, the pools don't have slides. There are very limited dining options, meaning there's no table service restaurant. Of course, you can make reservations anywhere on property, right, but sometimes you just want the convenience of eating at your resort, right? You're hungry at the end of the day, or you don't want to go anywhere else and you just want to grab something there. There is no fitness centers at any of these resorts as well. So again, it's different strokes for different folks, right? If you decide that what's most important to you is lacking, then you might not want to stay here. If you're okay with that, then you might find that this is exactly what you're looking for.
Absolutely. So with all that said, is it worth it to stay at a value resort? Well, after hearing what's at these resorts, do these meet your needs? Because really, that's what it boils down to. If the missing amenities are not a deal breaker for you, the value resorts are definitely a great option. We can definitely recommend them.
Yeah, exactly. Like during my solo trip coming in the new year here, I'm doing a split stay and doing 2 nights at Art of Animation and 2 nights at Pop Century. I wanted to stay in the Disney bubble, but it's just me and I'll be out for most of, if not the whole day. So it totally makes sense for me to stay at the value resorts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Because if you had told me you were staying at the Poly, I would have said, no way. At the end of the day, you get what you pay for. Yes, there are fewer amenities, less dining options, and the transportation options, but if you're okay with that, it can 100% be worth it. At the end of the day, you know what's best for you and your family and travel party, and wherever you choose to stay, you're going to have a great time.
Couldn't agree more. With that said, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, if you could leave us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. If you choose to do so, you can leave reviews right on Apple Podcasts. And for Spotify, you can leave a rating.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Go.to-Disney, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney. We share some helpful reels here, as well as some fun ones. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all of our socials.
Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.